ceremonies, Nathan Cassar.
Well, welcome to another electrifying episode of the Justice Plan TV and podcast show, where we dive deep into the world of unforgettable events and celebrations, your wedding to come. I'm your host and professional wedding MC, Nathan Cassar, and today we have a true master of the beats joining us, Phan, also known as DJ Nam Sydney, and the owner of Special Snaps Photobooth. Now, with 19 years, yes, count that up, 19 years of experience, I don't think he's even old enough to have had that, as an event DJ, including 9 years as a professional club DJ in Sydney's vibrant nightlife scene, Nam brings a unique blend of energy and expertise to every occasion. Now, he's not just about playing the music, he's all about creating an atmosphere that gets everyone on their feet and having the time of their lives. From corporate functions to weddings and club appearances, Nam knows exactly how to keep the dance floor packed and the party rocking. His secret, it's all about preparation and the vibe. He pours his heart and soul into every event, ensuring that the energy is contagious and the good times never stop. But Nam's journey to success wasn't always smooth sailing. Starting as a broke 18-year-old DJing his friend's birthday party, he faced challenges and setbacks along the way. However, his determination and passion propelled him forward, leading to the thriving career he enjoys today as one of Sydney's best DJs. During our conversation with Nam, we'll uncover the secrets behind his success, from choosing the right equipment to troubleshooting issues on the fly. We'll also explore the importance of teamwork and effective communication with clients and other vendors, as well as the crucial role of music and client input in creating a truly memorable wedding. So if you're ready to turn up the volume and learn from one of Sydney's most dynamic DJs and event professionals, you will not want to miss this episode. Nam, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you? Thank you for that
Oh,
introduction. Wish it
of
could go
course, mate.
longer.
Well, we have the pleasure of working together quite a lot. Actually, you're probably one of the DJs I've probably worked with the most ever since I began back in 2021. Certainly, very shy off your 9 years in the clubs and 19 in general, but certainly it's been. I wish I could. I wish I could give that kind of intro for you in every wedding, but I think people would be like, "All right, mate, let's hurry it up a bit. We get it. He's great,"
Yeah. I get a bit shy when your intros are live. I'll get very shy actually.
I know I watch it. Next time I'm going to make sure that the photographer's got you nice dialed in, just so I can get every little frame of your shyness. It'd be great. I can't. It's good. But no,
Yeah.
it means you're a humble man and you know exactly what you do without having to have your name lit up in lights. And I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to really quality vendors. I've noticed, having worked with many others around as well, is that a big mark of success for somebody isn't having to tell people specifically, hey, I'm successful. Hey, I'm successful. It's just getting in there, being passionate about what you do, showing up on time and showing up with the energy and the desire to really make it a really strong event. And that's definitely what I see you do.
Thanks. It's nice that you're noticing, and we're getting to work together so much that we can sort of bounce off each other and have a perfect event every event. Seems
Of
like.
course. And speaking of perfection, it's obviously important to make sure that, sort of jumping right in here, it's important that when it comes to the basics, I find sometimes couples have got so many different things that they're dealing with, from color swatches to the napkin sizes to their dress to the suit to everything else in between, and the list is endless. And so the one thing that perhaps maybe does elude couples quite often, because this isn't their area, is about the right audio and lighting equipment that can really enhance a night. So I know personally from your weddings that I've worked together with you that you pride yourself on really good equipment, and you're able to pass that expertise and that physical hardware on the night, so that the dance floor is amazing, and that the speeches are crystal clear, and that the ambience with the lighting is everything they could possibly wish for and more. But sort of enlighten us a bit here for those uninitiated, those who've never been to a wedding before, perhaps not really sure they've been presented with all these options. What is the impact of having the right equipment for the job, and sort of how can you guide couples in trying to find the right DJ who can offer the right equipment?
So I think equipment is super important because every room, every wedding, every client, they're all different. So um, we like to get the floor plan first to make sure we know what the room looks like, so we know how many speakers are needed, if there are any feedback zones that we need to let the team know about. Um, yeah, I think if you buy, I guess, dodgy equipment or cheaper equipment, clients will see that. I guess guests will also hear that, and vendors will also talk about it. It's also a very small sort of industry, so if you do have quality service, quality equipment, vendors would most likely recommend you more as well to couples. It makes life easier for them as well.
And how does a
Yeah.
couple determine when they're looking at different DJs, right? Because it's one thing for us as vendors to know what's quality and what's not, and perhaps what's in between. But certainly when it comes to, couples out there looking through the plethora of DJ options, what kind of questions should they ask? How should they approach a DJ when it comes to that? Just so that they don't have to get the whole serial number of your speakers, but no one cares for that. But certainly, what sort of basic questions and criteria should they be asking about in meeting, in your opinion, when it comes to getting a quality DJ for their wedding?
Um, Getting a quality DJ for me is if the couple, they should definitely ask questions like, are they flexible with genre? That sort of thing. That would get you a quality DJ, because at weddings, the demographic is just so huge that you need to really cover most genres. So you got your uncle that likes rock, you got your auntie that likes 80s and ABBA, and then you've also got like kids that like Baby Shark. So
Who doesn't?
it just depends on flexibility. Equipment wise, if for clients, they really should ask their DJs sort of what's in your package that you bring every week, and also how many guests does that cater to. So you could book a DJ who has two speakers and they only cater to 100 guests, but your wedding has 300
Hmm.
guests. If you've missed that question, then you'll be underpowered. There'll be sort of feedback everywhere in the room because the DJ has to turn it up super loud to try and get everyone to be able to hear. So yeah, definitely ask and let the DJs know how many guests you're expecting, what room you're in. That would definitely help the DJs bring enough or adequate equipment for your wedding.
It's a really good point, actually, and I think it really just goes to the general idea that the more that you empower your vendors that you're considering, that you've maybe seen a couple of Instagram videos of, or you've seen obviously of a really successful dance floor happening, or you've seen their website and you fell in love with them, and then that next step is just making sure that they've kind of got the goods, and it isn't just a really well placed video angle that makes it look like people are having a great time. It's definitely those couple form few more questions, because as you say, every wedding's different, and so a 100-person wedding isn't going to be as serviced by someone who only has the equipment for 100 versus 300. So that's an extremely good point. I think also what you mentioned before about having the music, I would consider that almost equipment in some way. Back in the day, you had to have the CDs and the vinyls, and now you got to have the quote unquote equipment as your hard drive sort of flexibility of music that you have at your disposal. Before we move on, just on that music point too, I've noticed that a lot of DJs now, not all of them, of course, and I understand the reasons why they don't, but a lot of them allow for Spotify to be available at their wedding in order to enhance. Perhaps, for instance, there's a couple of curly choices, or there's music you weren't able to get into your library beforehand. Is this an essential thing, you believe? Have you used it quite a lot, or is it just sort of a nice to have?
I guess it depends on which stage you are as a DJ. It would be super recommended if you're just starting out and you don't have that music collection yet. Most of the time, if you've got like a seasoned DJ, they should have that track already that you're requesting. And if they don't have that track, most likely it won't be a banger that will sort of keep guests on the dance floor. It may just be a random that you like. Um, I guess just a message out there as well. So don't be offended if I don't play your request. I'm playing it for the majority of guests and the couple. So if you see me at a wedding and you've asked for something random, that's why I haven't played it. It's not because I hate you or I don't want to play your song. It's because we're playing to the majority. and we're playing for the
Sometimes it's
couple.
just the wrong time, right? I mean, I know you and I have personally been there when I'm about to, I'm prepping for our final song and we're trying to get that whole thing going. And then someone's like, play ABBA. And it's like, no, sorry. Like we've got to get this last bit on the road. And the couple's already picked that last song. So there's a whole
Yeah,
process that goes along with that. So yeah, definitely, timing as well is important, particularly if you're a couple and yes, you've got us all there at your disposal, but make sure, get those lists together and then allow
yeah.
us to get the right timing. I think we'll talk a bit more about that towards the end of the show. But in the meantime, I wanted to ask you something because obviously we strive for perfection as vendors, right? So I mentioned about having the perfect equipment, but in terms of like something going wrong, so perfection's out the window because now something's going awry that wasn't on the plan. How do you personally handle that? And also, what's your general advice in terms of couples feeling a little stressed that perhaps things can go wrong on the day when it comes to their music?
So I've been in the industry for close to 20 years now, so I've sort of seen it all. Everything that's gone wrong could go wrong has gone wrong, and we've been able to sort of troubleshoot it and sort of know what to do next and how to sort of remedy that the quickest. So for us, we've had like let me try and think of an example. We've had like a flash die at an event for the photo booth. The team member called me straight away. We were able to go, you know what? Can we borrow a photographer's flash for 10 minutes or so
Mm.
so the show can keep going? And I'll Uber you in a new flash. So we were able to sort of remedy that issue. No one sort of knew better. And I guess that leads to maybe another point we should chat about, maybe like vendors and communication between vendors.
Mhm.
I think that's very important that we all help each other out and sort of get to know each other. We'll definitely be seeing each other on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, that old adage, that teamwork makes the dream work, and I certainly, as an MC, as you know, I'm constantly around the room, making sure that I'm the ultimate arbiter of that, and keeping that concept in check for the night. But certainly, what's also really really prominent in my line of work is when I know that I'm not the only one sort of singing that mantra. It's also people like yourself who are in sync with that as well, and you believe that you're acting on the belief that communication amongst all vendors is critical as well. Perhaps in terms of for the sake of, because I get this question asked a lot, right? Have you worked with, when I'm doing, say, a sales call, I'm just getting to know a couple, or I'm going out for a coffee date to meet them for the first time, they'll say like, oh, have you worked with X before? Now I can either have, so for instance, if it was you, I'd be like, oh yeah, I work with him, name's fantastic. But then there may be a lot of opportunities where I still haven't worked with somebody just because there's so many people coming to the industry every single year. So when it comes to that question, what is it in either case, right? More so the you not work with them before. What do you tell couples to give them a little bit of sense of ease that, just because we haven't maybe worked with somebody, that isn't the end of the world. It's definitely not a reason not to book you. And more importantly, that you have the skills and tool sets available at your disposal and your experience to be able to handle, working with anybody, no matter how many times you work with them.
So I generally let couples know that most of the team will be on site at least an hour before your event starts. And we'll be doing a debrief before that where we go through everything prior, even if we haven't worked together. Generally, me and the MC, we do chat quite a bit throughout the night. Um, I think the first thing me and you do at an event is say hello and do the small chat. But then straight after that, we go straight into, hey, what's entrances? I need the order. Can we confirm couples' names and songs? So it's communication throughout the whole event. So what guests don't see while they're having dinner is me, you, the photographers, all sort of talking to each other and doing all the backstage stuff.
Mm. And
Yeah,
in terms
so
of that,
we're there,
you
we're
mentioned
communicating.
something. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. You mentioned something just then was really critical about the photography and videography, because it's me, one thing on the microphone as an MC, but there's another major component of the night at the reception, which is the photo video team. How do you as a DJ specifically support them?
So for me, I do lighting as well. So I double check with the videographers, photographers, can we put a spotlight on here for you? And they will generally say yes or no. Either they like their own lighting or they're cool with it, and we put a spot on entrances to make it look extra extravagant, extra nice for the couple. Um, videographers come up to me every gig, they need an audio out to record speeches and everything and all that. And we're happy to help. Being in the industry for so long, you sort of know what's coming up next and who needs what and when. I've got a cable bag that also helps photographers and videographers out too, just in case they've forgotten their cables. I've got their inputs and outputs for them already as well, because it's an everyday occurrence for us. Like, we need audio out for you to put into your wedding video. So yeah, we talk to videographers, photographers, MCs. Everyone's always communicating the whole event and helping each other out.
Absolutely. That's the real essence of it all. And I think it's really important that when, couples out there are talking to people like yourself and I and others and other vendors, they're considering that it's about, getting a vibe check on sort of how our approach is to teamwork. I think that's really critical. And I think it's something that it's just kind of assumed sometimes. And I understand why, you don't want to be having 2-hour long meetings with people just to be like, no, they weren't my vibe. But certainly I think it's a really critical question that can cut down a lot of a sales call time, a discovery call with a vendor, which is to say, just what are your thoughts on just working with other people, and hearing like something like you have to say. I think that's a great sort of point of difference that I believe I wish more DJs did, actually, which is to have those, there's external, cable bag and sort of those quality of life things that can help other vendors too, which is really fantastic. I actually, a couple of weekends back, I did a wedding, and the often videographers will attach, as they'll attach microphones to my own microphone in order to capture as a backup. And it happened to be that he was using the same microphone that I use to capture my content on. And so I had an elastic that actually goes over the top, a professional elastic that fits that exact one. And he was so impressed by it. He was just like, what? He's got an elastic? What's going on? He's got his own microphone. He's got his own elastic. But it was a really cool moment between us. Like, he was so impressed by it. But for me, I just, like yourself with your cable bag, it's like, yeah, like, I'm prepared. And I think that's a really, really interesting sort of metric, I think, when chatting to vendors as a message, or couples listening out there, that, these kind of questions seem really benign at the beginning of the process, but on the day, the fact that there are vendors out there like you and I who are focusing on, there's many others like us, of course, that focus on the vendor teamwork, and that has an every part of the way it plays is super critical. So we talked a bit before about the music choices and making sure that the couples will tell you as the planning process goes along exactly what they want. So there's a bit of a two-parter here. One, why is it so important that couples give you as much knowledge as possible in terms of what they like, what they don't like? And then also, I'd be interested to know exactly, some do's and don'ts in terms of how to portray music choices, that it makes your job easier, a bit smoother, and ensures that they're not getting any sort of niggly earworms when they go out and it's not the right track or something. How can they ensure that the communication channels are set up appropriately so that they get every song nailed at every key moment?
So for us, music is super important for what we do. So clients can have sort of as much or as little input as they like with music. I do encourage more input, because every wedding is different. Every client is different. What I tend to find works best is if you give me, say, 100 tracks of what you and your guests would like, so dinner and dancing, and that way I can always sort of take out the tracks that I think may not work or may not be appropriate for the time. If you give me, say, 10 tracks and it's just what you like, then I have to sort of figure out on the night what guests, I guess, feel like listening to while they're eating, which isn't a problem, but it's always easier if you provide that as well, because you would know your uncle more than I would know your uncle. I'm just guessing. Using Spotify, jumping back to that, Spotify, we don't play anything off Spotify on the night. We use Spotify for guests to compile a playlist. That way, they can pick the version, the artist, the sort of the edit, and then there's no confusion there. That way we can listen to which songs they selected. That way they don't have to write every time we touch by DJ Hardwell or something like that. It's already in the list. there are like 1,000 every time we touches, or there's 1,000, I guess, Dynamite by BTS
Mm.
remixes. So Spotify works great for us in that way. A tip for DJs is don't play off YouTube live. So if anyone says, "Hey, can you play this song through your aux cable?" Don't do it, just in case they don't have YouTube Premium, and then an ad comes up midway.
Oh, I've
Like
I've heard so many horror
that's the
stories
last thing
about
you
that.
want. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Now,
I generally
technically,
say to all the DJs, don't play off
mm.
YouTube.
No, it's a great point, and it's not the first time you've mentioned this. I think we've had sort of sidebars or weddings about this as well, and I think it's a really interesting point because I think also goes to also to be said that if you're going to use Spotify in some way, shape, and form to augment your music list, make sure you ask your DJ whether or not they've got Spotify Premium too, because you're going to get those ads coming up. So
Yep.
you definitely don't want to. Couldn't imagine some McDonald's ad coming up in the middle of your first dance. So, but it's definitely important questions to ask because I know that a lot of couples when I ask for the music choices as well, just to get a good sense of put on the run sheets, as and I make sure that they're all matching and I get their vibe for the night. I do get a lot of references to say, oh, this particular YouTube track that I picked. So if a couple is really dead set on that particular mix that's only available on YouTube, are they still able to hope that their DJs can play that particular track on the night?
It depends on if they've got YouTube Premium. Is that what that's called? YouTube Premium.
I think
I've
so. I
got it
keep
myself.
telling it no because I don't need it, but
Yeah. So I've got it myself, but I haven't had that instant yet, so I can't really answer that question. I would generally advise couples no. Um,
Mm,
we won't play it off YouTube just because the quality is not that great. There's lots of compression as well, so it's not really worth it on
that
your
is true.
end if we play it. But I haven't had that instance where it hasn't been on Spotify or it
Mm,
hasn't
mm.
been on a record pool where we get our music from or iTunes. We can always buy it most of the time. There
Perfect.
are DJ sites as well with most remixes uploaded on there, and we can buy it from there as well.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like it's a bit of a no-brainer to have someone like yourself who, knows exactly where to go get music from, particularly if that, because I know that you're actually quite good and you're one of few that I know who do a lot of different cultures, not, just stick to one or two that you're familiar with within your own community and perhaps Australian or something. There is an adaptability, as you mentioned earlier, about being able to be flexible amongst different cultures. And so I think there's also a really, really key point is that, as you mentioned earlier, about that flexibility is that having that broader library knowledge from different instances and culture backgrounds and so forth means that you've got this wonderful library at your disposal, which then you can then weave into the night. And if that's something that's more of a priority for couples out there, I think then, going down the route of perhaps maybe having to spend a little bit more on a DJ, but that means that you can be assured that that person also has the library and has the knowledge of how to mix those songs together rather than just someone who's perhaps starting out who'd be more appropriate for another opportunity compared to what your needs are. Before I go into, I want to find out a little bit about what your thoughts are on some of the I've got some rapid fire questions for you very shortly. But very last thing, because I wanted to touch on it as well, because you also double up as a photo booth as well, in the sense that you don't physically run the photo booth at the same time as doing a DJ booth, but you have a great team at your disposal, like many other operators out there. Look, the question I have for you regarding photo booths is this: a lot of it's become really popular over the last 5 years, I would argue. And so where do you see photo booths going? Do you see them growing still in the market? What is there a trend that's currently occurring in it? And what can people expect for the future of photo booths in the way that they are a part of the wedding fabric?
I think photo booths are becoming a staple now for weddings. So I'm not too worried about if photo booths are ever going to go away. Like everyone loves them. Um, I feel like the best way to pick a photo booth for your event is to go through their whole library. Have a look at their gallery, see what their photo quality is like digitally. The physical copies you'll get, but the digitals is what you'll be sharing online for the rest of your life. So look at that quality, see if that's good quality or not. There are 1,000 photo booth vendors, but I feel like a handful only deliver great quality service as well as pictures. So make sure you have a look at that, because people jump into the wedding industry thinking it's easy. It's not. It's like the tip of the iceberg. It's all the prep beforehand that you do that's on the day. We work with couples in designing their photo strip, their lighting, to make sure they're happy with how much of sort of the shot they want in the photo booth. So if it's like full body, half body, just your head up, that sort of thing. So yeah, again, it jumps back to flexibility as well. So when you chat to your vendor, make sure they're flexible in helping you out and helping you create the vision that you want for your special day.
Perfect. I love it. And yeah, I do agree with you wholeheartedly that I think they're not going to go away anytime soon. So if anything, I'm seeing 360 photo booths now also dropping in price, as they're not as novel as they used to be, but certainly still at the forefront of people's interests in making their wedding special and having little bespoke moments. So no, it's you're 100% on the money with all that, I think. So got a few questions for you. No pressure, just whatever first comes to mind. Love to finish our little chats like this. First off, I'm curious. I don't know if I've ever asked you this before in person, but what's one of the most memorable weddings that you've ever done?
Memorable weddings. That's a tough one. I've let's see. I've done one at Taronga Zoo on New Year's Eve, and I've forgotten why I was there as well, because the fireworks were going off, and I was just sort of mesmerized by the location and the view. Like, we're there quite regularly, but you don't see it when it's like New Year's Eve.
Hmm.
So that was a memorable one, because they also had the equipment all there already for me. So it was a quick bump in, bump out.
Hmm.
I love that one because there was like a cheese platter that was left over, and I sort of stole that at the end of the night. And because I knew I was going to be stuck in traffic on the way home, I just had like a picnic in the car while I was waiting for that traffic, and it was perfect.
That's great. You came
Great way
prepared, mate.
to
That's
end the year.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful memory. That's fantastic.
What about
Second
you?
question. Oh, me? Oh, no
Yeah.
one's ever thrown the question back at me. I got to say, one of my absolute favorite memorable weddings was one I did, my very first one of this year. It's a very close personal memory of mine, because the couple were just absolutely amazing. They had won me in the ABIA Brides and Grooms competition a couple of years back, and they had to defer their wedding a couple of times, and they eventually settled on a wedding out in Scone, which is about 4 hours north of 3.5 hours from Parramatta, where I'm in. And so basically from where you are, about 3.5, 3 3/4. And it was just, I cannot begin to describe how beautiful this wedding was. It was a marquee wedding. It was the first one I did. The couple were just incredibly in love, so much. It was like everyone just was so happy to be there. Not that people aren't at weddings, we do, but just this particular couple were just absolutely gorgeous. And they wrote the most amazing review for every single vendor after the experience as well. I almost want to frame the email because it was just so beautiful. So definitely, no one's ever thrown it back to me. That's cheeky of you. That's good. One more question for you. What is your favorite venue? Or just one of? I know that's a hard question, but one of the first comes to mind.
One of the first ones that comes to mind, maybe Ben Dooley, the book
Mm,
barn.
yes. Yeah,
I
good
like that
choice.
one. Super nice for taking photos, videos, and I like their crew meals. I like how they have like a share platter for all the vendors. Delicious.
Oh, mate, I'm going back. I'm there in April. So
Yeah,
as of
yeah, yeah.
recording, we're recording this in March, and there in April. So I'm looking forward to it. See, you got me excited about it again. Well, now we ran completely out of time. It's been a pleasure talking with you today, as it is always. Last thing, how can people find you and how can they connect with you?
My website is www.djnam.com.au, and on Instagram it's at djnamsid.
Awesome. Can't get any more simpler than that. Well, Nam, take care of yourself. I'm sure that we've got another wedding lined up very shortly together. But in the meantime, I wish every one of your couples the best of dance floors, as I know that you are very capable of accomplishing.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you have me back on and we can talk about you more. next time.
Thanks, Matt. Take care. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Just As Planned Wedding Podcast. Please like and subscribe to let me know that you want more videos just like this one. And of course, please follow us on our socials at Just As Planned Wedding on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more expert insights to help your wedding go just as planned.